All right, y'all, welcome to the show. Hope everybody out there is having a great day. I'm at a loss for words yet again, man. I'm at a loss for words yet again. What am I supposed to say? Pucker your booty hole, because today's show is going to be a wild ride. I don't know how much more of this I can take, dog. I don't know how much. I got to follow this stuff day in and day out, and it's getting to the point where I don't know what else to say except, like, build a doomsday bunker. Like, that's where we're at right now. So we'll get to everything Trump's been saying lately, the endless threats toward Greenland, the reaction of the world. We're at the point where even the police in Minnesota are looking at the ICE criminal thugs and going, really? Really? They're having to give press conferences where they're like, can y'all fucking stop? Can y'all reel it in a little bit? You're out over your skis here, and everybody fucking hates you. So we'll talk about that as well. We also have the Canadian Prime Minister. He's out there now basically saying that the U.S. is completely and utterly finished, and you shouldn't mourn the past. We need to be strategic and look toward the future. Literally like tap dancing on our grave right now as we speak. We also have the dollar is collapsing as countries are now mass dumping U.S. treasuries because Trump is so completely and utterly unhinged. We have a Danish lawmaker who came out and gave us a piece of his mind, telling Trump to, and I quote, fuck off when it comes to Greenland. And then later on, that CNN prick, I always forget his name, Scott Jennings, that's his name. That guy gets the douchey smirk slapped right off of his face. So I love that segment. And also Don Lemon, man, from the top rope, lays a vicious smackdown on the MAGA hack Nicki Minaj, the recently converted MAGA hack Nicki Minaj. So we have all of that and more. You guys know the deal, man. Everybody do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. That's right below me here. Also, click that bell icon because it makes sure that every video gets directly to you. Whereas if you don't click the bell icon, you're at the mercy of the YouTube algorithm. And I got to be honest, they don't really love political channels because we're controversial. So hook a brother up with a sub and click that bell icon. You can also support the show on Patreon. That link is below as well. Or you can tip with that thanks button on YouTube. Only reason I ask that, guys, is because, as you know, I don't do ad reads. I've never talked to an advertiser, never done an ad read. I never will. This is actual grassroots media, so you guys support the show from the ground up. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. You can also sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. That link is below. And go subscribe to the Corn's World YouTube channel because we do live Kyle and Corn episodes every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can come hang out with us there. We shoot the shit. We take it easy. We take some super chats. It's much more laid back than this hell show that I've created over here. So that's where we're at, y'all. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. So when putting together this segment, which you're about to see here, it was basically like over the course of a day or two, like all of Trump's psychotic moments. And I'm not kidding when I say I maybe was only able to squeeze in about 50% of the shit he actually said. Because now, just on any given day, I would honestly rather shove a gun barrel up my urethra and pull the trigger. That's where we're at now with just how lost and gonzo this bloated psychopath is. So, let's start with this one here. Kyle Cheney points this out. Trump amplifies post that says NATO, not China or Russia, is part of the real threat to America. So here's one of the things Trump posted on True Social. So at what point are we going to realize the enemy is within? China and Russia are the boogeymen when the real threat is the UN, NATO, and this religion. I put religion in quotes because it's not a religion. It's a cult. Yeah, I went there. I don't even know. What are they talking about? Islam? I guess they're talking about Islam because of the Somalis in Minnesota. Is that the idea? I don't even know what that last part is related to. But literally outright saying China and Russia are not the issue. It's the UN and NATO. What a great time to post a thing like that as you're currently threatening to steal, Greenland, which is owned by Denmark, who is part of NATO. Phenomenal idea. Like, post this, further pissing off our allies, further leading to them taking economic consequences against us. Real genius stuff there, fella. Now, let me say, we are at the point where it's kind of tough to tell. Either Trump is a Manchurian candidate or he's just a dumbass and doing nothing different than what a Manchurian candidate would do. There are no other options. It's one or the other. That's where we're at now. All right, more. I'm not done. So Trump also posted this. He went to Davos. We'll get to that speech in a second. But as he's going there, he's posting shit like this. Dominion voting machines allegedly switched a staggering 435,000 votes from Trump to Biden in the 2020 election with a combination of tweaked algorithms in the software, direct remote access to the machines, and adjudication live on site. What? Or from a remote location. Algorithmic anomalies, possibly embedded in the software, led to systematic vote flipping, detailed charts and graphs showing vote spikes and drops that defy typical patterns, with specific examples from Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Georgia. Batches of votes appeared to shift from one candidate to the other, always favoring the Democrats and Joe Biden, totaling the claimed 435,000 across multiple jurisdictions. Some were even caught live on TV, where Trump would lose the exact amount of vote totals that Biden would gain at the same time. This is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Bro, we are now 6 years past the 2000 election. His ass is back in office. He's still pretending that election was stolen, as if we didn't have 60 lawsuits, which proved otherwise. We didn't have the Arizona audit where they recounted everything, and it turns out, if anything, Biden won by more votes than what we thought he won by on election day. So there were votes that were stolen. It was in the other direction. He's still posting this. Now, by the way, remember what I told you the other day? When he kidnapped Maduro, there was reason to believe that what they're trying to do is convince Maduro to give a statement saying he stole the election for Biden in return for a softer sentence. I'm not kidding. There's people who work in the DOJ who were like posting and reposting things to that effect. Like, hey, just so you know, this is what's coming. Trump is going to use Maduro to try to say, see, I told you Maduro stole the election for Joe Biden. And he's reposting stuff like this. Also, Trump, in his speech to Davos, said that, we're finally going to go after the people who stole the 2020 election. So, in other words, more fake lawsuits, just like they went after James Comey and that fell apart, just like they went after Letitia James and that fell apart, just like now they're going after Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, Tim Walz, Keith Ellison now, the attorney general in Minnesota. They're just throwing everything at the wall and hoping something sticks and intimidating people and doing lawfare and political persecution against people. And not even Republicans are pretending at this point like, oh yeah, this is a real case. No, it's just a psychotic madman who's carrying out his retribution tour. That's what it is. And so he's still posting shit like this. Again, at a time where everybody's looking at Trump going, he's so unstable that the United States is going to be like axed out by all of our allies. He's giving them more ammunition and more reason to further axe us out. All right, more. So he did a press conference. It was a thing of nightmares. So let's start with this one. He somehow manages to make the murder of Renee Good by an ICE officer. I hate calling them officers. They're not officers. They're thugs. They're criminals. An ICE Gestapo thug murdered Renee Good, and he twists it and mangles it and makes it about how amazing Donald Trump is. I'm just the best, aren't I, folks? Watch this.
They're going to make a mistake. Sometimes it can happen. We feel terribly.
By the way, notice how horrible he sounds. I know I normally put things on 1.25 times speed, but this is on normal speed, and it sounds like he's in the middle of a nap.
I felt horribly when I was told that the young woman who was had the tragedy. It's a tragedy. It's a horrible thing. Everybody would say, ICE would say the same thing. But when I learned her parents and her father in particular I hope he still is, but I don't know, was a tremendous Trump fan. He was all for Trump, loved Trump. And, it's terrible. I was told that by a lot of people. They said, he loves you. He was I hope he still feels that way. I don't know. It's a hard situation. But her father was a tremendous, and parents were tremendous Trump fans.
How many times are you going to say it? This is the third time. They love Trump. They sure do love Trump. Have I mentioned that they love Trump? Her father and her mother, actually, it turns out they really love Trump. I hope they still love Trump. They should love Trump. He is the textbook definition of a malignant narcissist. Bro, he might try to actually take the world with him when he dies. That's the level of extreme narcissism that we're looking at here.
It's so sad. It just happens. It's terrible.
It's so sad. It just happens. No, murder doesn't just happen. And typically in a scenario where this does happen, there are prosecutions, and you guys are covering for his ass. Nobody even knows where he is. He fled like a common criminal, and you're protecting him. Oh, it's so terrible. It's such a tragedy. You hate to see it, which is why we're guaranteeing that we're not going to cooperate with the state and local authorities and have a trial. That's how much of a tragedy it is that we're 100% on his side.
Halted all refugee admissions to the United States, including from...
And then he just fucking totally disjointed. Just goes there. Refugees, like what you were just talking about. Trump's amazing. Trump's incredible. It was really sad what happened to her, but her parents did love Trump, and they should love Trump. Oh my God, bro. Oh my God. All right, how about this one? CNN displaying the stock market dropping while Trump brags about the stock market.
Actually, officially 12 months as of today. 52 all-time record highs.
Yeah, look on the right, bottom right. Everything's going down.
Means 401ks did great. I have people see me all the time, policemen that guard us really well, and got to know them a little bit. And they said, "Sir, you're making me look so good. My 401k is through the roof. My wife thinks I'm the greatest genius, that I'm a financial genius, like Warren Buffett."
Oh my God, bro. And understand something? The market tanking is 100% tied to him, because now countries are retaliating against him for his insane warmongering. They were all willing to go along with it when it was Venezuela and when it was Iran. But as soon as it was Greenland, oh, now all of a sudden the Europeans are like, whoa, 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 whoa. They're one of us. This is part of Denmark. What is wrong with you? And now all of a sudden they're saying, okay, you want to play that game? Well, we have some tools in our toolbox as well. So prepare for that. All right. Here's a clip about how Trump's mom said he could be a baseball player before explaining what a mental institution is. Bro, I'm not kidding you when I say he is actually gone mentally. Like, it is time for a straitjacket and Thorazine. It is time to call this what it is. It's either Alzheimer's or just flat out dementia. But he is not there anymore. These side tangents, he used to, I do the weave, that's what I do the weave, and I come back. You watch it. Tell me what kind of fucking weave this is. This, in the midst of waging multiple wars, threatening to steal Greenland, and doing a complete crackdown in an authoritarian fashion in our own country, this is what he babbles about when he's speaking to the press. Watch.
We had in my area in Queens, I grew up in Queens, we had a place called Creedmoor. Creedmoor, did anybody know that? Creedmoor. It was a big, I said, Mom, why are those bars on the building? I used to play Little League Baseball there at a place called Cunningham Park. I was quite the baseball player, you wouldn't believe.
Homie, you're like 80 years old, bro. You're like 80 years old, and you're talking about how good you were at Little League Baseball?
But I said to my mother, Mom, she would be there, always there for me. She said, son, you could be a professional baseball player. I said, thanks, Mom. I said, why are those bars on the windows? Big building, big, powerful building. It loomed over the park, actually. She said, well, people that are very sick are in that building. I said, boy, I used to always look at that building and I'd see big building, big tall building. It loomed over the park. It was sort of, now that I think it was a pretty unfriendly sight.
You already said that.
I'll never forget, I don't know if it's still there, because they got rid of most of them, you know, the Democrats in New York, they took them down, and the people live on the streets now. That's why you have a lot of the people in California and other places, they live on the streets. They took the mental institutions down, they're expensive. But I'd say, why does that building have those bars? Boy, it wasn't normal. You know, you're used to looking at like a window. But this one, you're looking at all the steel, vicious steel, tiny windows, bars all over the place. Nobody was getting out. It's called a mental institution. That was an insane asylum.
He goes on to say, we're going to bring back the mental institutions, which, by the way, should terrify everybody. His idea is set up these, like, de facto prisons, effectively, and then just put everybody he doesn't like in there. Put the immigrants he doesn't like in there, put the liberals in there, the lefties in there, the LGBTQ people in there. The idea that there's going to be some, like, high-minded criteria. They already violate due process on a daily basis when it comes to these ICE Gestapo thugs. They're not going to make sure that, if they're not going to make it, oh, this is going to be a highfalutin treatment center for people who need, no, they're going to round up dissidents and throw them in there. Horrifying, horrifying stuff. Here he is, yet again. This is now his, most common rant, where he goes off about how much he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize.
Should have gotten the Nobel Prize for each war, but I don't say that. I saved millions and millions of people. And don't let anyone tell you that Norway doesn't control the shots, okay? It's in Norway. Norway controls the shots. They'll say, we have nothing to do with it. It's a joke. They've lost such prestige.
Well, they have lost prestige, but not because they didn't give it to you. The reason they lost prestige is because they gave it to a fucking warmonger who was the opposition in Venezuela, and then she gave it to you.
That's why I have such respect for Maria doing what she did. She said, I don't deserve the Nobel Prize. He does. When she got it, they named They said, wow, that's amazing. I thought President Trump would get it.
Oh my God, man. So as I said, I deserve the Nobel Prize, bombs Iran. I'm the most peaceful president ever, bombs Nigeria. Nobody has been more peaceful than me, kidnaps the Venezuelan president. Give me that prize now, threatens to steal Greenland. I mean, bro, we've been through it, but like, he's a bigger warmonger than George W. Bush at this point. He is George W. Trump on steroids. And here he is like, I don't understand. Why aren't you giving it to me? Let's steal Panama next. Let's take Cuba. Let's go after Colombia. They're next. He says all that stuff and bombs so many countries and then goes, I deserve that prize. It's literally like beyond comic book villain status. All right, let's keep going here. So we also have this one, again, beyond parody. Listen to who he invited to his Board of Peace for Gaza, which, by the way, is something that he wants to recreate for Venezuela. It's something that he wants to recreate for Syria. All these different places where he thinks he can get away with it. He wants to capitalize and profit off of the chaos when it comes to foreign policy. But listen to this. This is unbelievable.
Have you invited President Putin to be a member of the Board of Peace?
Yeah, he's been invited.
He invited Vladimir Putin to be part of the Board of Peace. The guy who illegally and offensively invaded Ukraine and is still fighting there to this day. Board of Peace. But I guess to be fair, it's no more absurd than Trump even starting the Board of Peace with all of the murders and assassinations and drone strikes and wars that he's done.
Do you have any response to President Macron saying he will not join the Board of Peace?
Oh, did he say that? Well, nobody wants him because he's going to be out of office first.
Oh, so nobody wants Macron to join the Board of Peace, but he does want Vladimir Putin to join the Board of Peace. Okay.
So, that's all right. What I'll do is if they feel like Costco, I'll put a 200% tariff on his wines and champagnes, and he'll join. But
so now, let's tariff him because he doesn't want to join my fake Board of Peace, which is just a scam in order to steal money off of global conflicts.
He doesn't have to join. If he said that, you're probably giving it to me a little bit differently, but if he actually did say that, but as you know, he's going to be out of office in a few months.
All right, so they're clearly snuggling up to Putin and Russia and saying, we invited them to the Board of Peace. We think they're very peaceful. And then here is what the Russian Minister Lavrov said, and this should be an eye-opening moment for everybody. Listen.
In Greenland, there was no coup. But as President Trump said, this territory is simply important for the security of the U.S. Crimea is equally important for the security of Russia.
So do you understand that? Now Russia is taking Trump's side, earning favor with him. And the idea here is, look, we'll make a trade. We'll support you stealing Greenland if you support us stealing Crimea and more broadly, stealing Ukraine. That's the idea. Oh, hey, you want to go back to sphere of influence politics? We are more than willing to do that. Let us get our sphere of influence, which is like all of the post-Soviet states that became independent. Let us take all those back, and then go ahead. You can take Venezuela, you can take Cuba, you can take Colombia, you can take Mexico, you can take Greenland. By all means, create the tech native America. Go ahead. We'll support it. If we allow you to do that over there, you got to allow us to do it over here. We're good. Even Stevens trade, forget independence, forget sovereignty, forget the global order, forget human rights, forget civil rights, forget all that shit. Trump also decided, while flying back from Florida the other night, he posted text from Emmanuel Macron and also text from the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte. So look at this. This one's Mark Rutte. Mr. President, dear Donald, what you accomplished in Syria today is incredible. What? I will use my media engagements in Davos to highlight your work there, in Gaza and in Ukraine. Are you kidding me? Committed to finding a way forward on Greenland. Can't wait to see you. Yours, Mark. What is wrong with these little bitches? Stop treating him like a fucking toddler and a Make-A-Wish kid and understand he's a threat to world peace. You cannot appease him. You cannot. Look at what Neville Chamberlain did with Adolf Hitler. It didn't fucking work. Grow up. Wake up. This is ridiculous. From President Macron to President Trump, my friend, we are totally in line on Syria. So warmongering there and having an Al-Qaeda guy run the country, we love that. We're with you on that. We are totally in. We can do great things on Iran. We love war in Iran too. We'll join you on that one as well. I do not understand what you're doing on Greenland. Oh, not when the war is closer to us. Don't do that. Let us try to build great things. 1, I can set up a G7 meeting after Davos in Paris on Thursday afternoon. I can invite the Ukrainians, the Danish, the Syrians, and the Russians in the margins. Let us have a dinner together in Paris together on Thursday before you go back to the U.S. Again, fucking embarrassing is what this is. Absolutely fucking embarrassing. Trump also posted this, which, very clearly, this is an attempt to create the technate of America. That's what he's trying to do. That's what this is. There's no way around it. He thought it was cute to post something like this. He also thought it was cute to post this. Here's Trump posting the American flag in Greenland. It's a U.S. territory established 2026. Again, we are looking at historic evil here, and anybody pretending otherwise is a fucking idiot. Ryan Grimm says, Trump is asked by a Lindell TV reporter if he has been able to get to the bottom of Maduro's role in stealing the election for Biden in 2020. Now that the U.S. has him in custody. Trump demurs, but says of his lawyers, they've learned some things. In other words, like I told you, he's trying to get Maduro to lie and say, oh yeah, I totally stole the election for Joe Biden, bro. Absolutely. Now, will you let me free, please? That 100% is what's happening. How's this for embarrassing? You have Howard Lutnick at Davos, and he absolutely berates and chastises other leaders of their countries here. And I want you to pay close attention, not only to the substance of what he says, but to the faces of these people from the other countries, because their faces say it all.
It is completely different than the WEF. I viewed the WEF as not a flagpole in the middle, but in fact, they are the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so it blew. You should have solar, you should have wind. Why are you going to do solar and wind? Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries.
At this point, all these people would rather be subservient to China than the U.S. because China appears to be more stable and more rational. That's just a fact. That's just a fact right now. Who's acting more sane on the global scene right now? It's not particularly close, if you ask me. By the way, also, I wonder why people would want to do green and renewable technology. I don't know. Maybe that thing called climate change, which you fucking idiots don't believe in because you're cucked to the oil companies. Maybe that. Also, maybe they want to go down that path because they know it's the technology of the future and they want to get in on that market and profit off of that market instead of being stuck like we are in the past. Howard Lutnick and Donald Trump are the equivalent of a bunch of assholes hanging on to the Morse code machine at the same time the phone has just been invented. That's what they're like. Why are you guys using that new thing? We have this old technology which works just fine.
Why would you do that? Why would the United States of America, which has oil and natural gas, try to convert to all electricity? China does not have oil and natural.
Look at the faces. Look at the faces. Holy cow. This is how the world thinks of America now. And they're totally right to look at us like this. Like these people are fucking jackasses.
Gas, electricity, and electric cars make perfect sense to them. That is practical and logical of thinking.
They're looking at him like, hey, bro, get stuffed. Get the fuck out of our face. What is wrong with you? The thing that's so disturbing about the Trump regime is that to any objective analysis, they come across as like very stupid. But the way Lutnick speaks, these people think they're geniuses. They think they're brilliant. They think like we're like American supremacists. We're like above all these other people here. And nothing could be further from the truth. You look like a bunch of fucking Yankee cowboy dipshits who don't believe in science, can do no logical thought process whatsoever, and now the world is dealing with the fallout of that. Let's talk about this. Trump gives his speech at Davos. We're going to do a separate segment on this, but because of Trump's warmongering around Greenland and his constant threats, the market absolutely tanked. The dollar tanked. You got countries dumping U.S. treasuries. You got basically everybody finally said, enough. We're not fucking doing this anymore. And so the market tanked. And Trump comes out in this speech knowing, I'm sure his advisors are telling him, bro, you got to chill. You're really destroying the market because of your constant threats. And so he comes out at Davos and he says this.
We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force.
All you've been doing for the past 2 weeks is threatening force. You called up the military to be prepared to go. What are you talking about? We have to have it. We're going to have it. There's no way around it. We need it for our national security. Doesn't matter what they say. You say all that, and then you're like, force? Me? Force? You're talking about force? We're not. And you just kidnapped Maduro. You just kidnapped a sovereign head of state. And then are actively trying to coerce and threaten the government there now. You're doing a total embargo, stealing all the oil, putting the oil money that you get into a private bank account in Qatar. He's like, me? Doing something wrong? I wouldn't do that. I don't even know what you guys are talking about, bro. Wow. All right. Guess what, by the way? I'm going to show you at the end, but it didn't work. He already did enough damage where nobody trusts us. And so they're like, the EU's like, freeze the trade deal. We're not doing the trade deal with the US anymore. But here we go. He continues here. This is where he berates Canada, the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, for keeping it real in his speech the day before. I'm going to do a separate segment on his speech, by the way, so hang in there for that. But Trump didn't like it very much because the Canadian Prime Minister kept it completely real and told everybody, wake the fuck up. And here's what Trump says in return.
Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your Prime Minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements.
I told you, this is a mobocracy now. He runs the country like a mafia boss. That's what he does. But he's a mafia boss who's out over his skis. He's not that intelligent. All he has is brute force. All he has is coercion. And again, if anything, you are just speeding up the process of the world abandoning us. And I don't know how to get this through to you guys. But as soon as the world decides to dump the US dollar as the world reserve currency, it is over. It is over. At that point, I've never been a deficit hawk or a debt hawk ever. Okay? It's never been that important of an issue. But guess what? It immediately becomes a dire issue as soon as the world dumps the dollar, because then there's going to be a crisis in confidence for the dollar. And as a direct result of that, we can see hyperinflation in this country, which is something we never thought we'd ever see. And as long as we're the world reserve currency, you don't have to worry about it. As long as there's confidence in the dollar, you don't have to worry about it. Well, confidence will be lost in the dollar as soon as the world dumps it. And that nearly $40 trillion in debt becomes an actual issue. Again, they don't know what they're doing. And Scott Bessent, by the way, the Treasury Secretary, he was at Davos, and he was asked, like, hey, are you prepared for if the world retaliates to all of Trump's threats? And he basically was like, the world is not going to retaliate. So in other words, they're not prepared. They're not prepared. They're naive, and they're stupid, and they think the world's just going to have to take this because we're America. We're us. We can get and do whatever the fuck we want. No, I regret to inform you that is not true. I regret to inform you history is very long and empires rise and fall all the time. So they're so fucking arrogant. They can't see straight. All right, more. In the midst of this speech, trying to show everybody he's not crazy, keeps confusing Greenland and Iceland.
They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money. But that dip is peanuts compared to what it's gone up.
Continually says Iceland, Iceland, Iceland means Greenland. And by the way, he's also letting the world know, oh, this is the thing that could actually get me to move off it. If there's a total market crash, I have to move off all the things that you're threatening. You really didn't think about this? That if you just invade Greenland or threaten to invade Greenland, there's going to be economic consequences from Europe, and then boom, our economy crashes and people dump the dollar. The fact that you haven't thought this through, bro, there's that old saying like, oh, he's playing checkers, not chess. This motherfucker isn't playing checkers or chess. He's rolling his feces into little balls in the corner. That's what he's doing. That's how out of his depth he is. It's incredible. This motherfucker is not fit to manage an Arby's. Never mind, be president of the United States, the most powerful man on earth. All right, then he also decided, I'm going to go full racist, and he starts babbling Nick Shirley style about Somalis in Minnesota. Listen to this. This is crazy.
$19 billion in fraud that was stolen by Somalian bandits. Can you believe that Somalia, they turned out to be higher IQ than we thought?
Oh my God. Do you understand he's telling on himself here? So in his mind, wait, you're low IQ. They were low IQ. Of course, he believes that because they're black. And that's how he thinks, like straight up eugenicist, Nazi type shit. The darker your skin, the lower your IQ. But he goes, oh, they turned out to be higher IQ. Why? Well, he said because they stole $19 billion. So they're higher IQ than I thought. He literally equates criminality with high intelligence, which perfectly explains why he is a fucking rampant criminal. And what he tells himself when he goes to sleep at night is, I'm doing this because I'm high IQ. I did a crypto scam on my own supporters 2 days before my inauguration because I'm so smart. That's why I did that. I made billions of dollars while in the White House because I'm so smart. That's why I did that. I'm selling fucking scam NFTs because I'm so brilliant. That's why. He's convinced himself if you're a criminal and you get away with it, that's high IQ. That's how he thinks. By the way, it's also super rich because you guys know he keeps pardoning fraudsters. He keeps pardoning people who commit fraud. Then they get out and commit fraud again. He pardoned one person twice. They committed fraud twice. He pardoned them the first time, got committed fraud again, got locked up again, pardoned them again. He's committing fraudsters left and right. It's literally pay to play. Somebody will go to Mar-a-Lago and give him $1 million. He'll pardon whoever the fuck you want. And so he's in no position to complain about fraud. He is a fraudster. His fucking family are fraudsters, and he keeps pardoning fraudsters. And here you go, the Somalis. And by the way, just so you know, again, to speak to his IQ here, he keeps saying Somalian. It's Somali. And he doesn't even bother to fucking learn how to actually pronounce it because he doesn't give a shit because he's a dipshit.
I always say these are low IQ people. How did they go into Minnesota and steal all that money?
He is like an old school textbook racist. It is insane how racist he is. Saying this into a microphone in front of the world, since they're Somalis, they're low IQ.
They're pirates. They're good pirates, right? But we shoot them out of the water just like we shoot the drug boats out.
Bro, he's literally as stupid as Nick Shirley. Oh my God. We were just making fun of Nick Shirley for his interview with Andrew Callahan because he says to Andrew Callahan, what do you think when you think Somalian? And again, he also says Somalian, I think, and not Somali. What do you think when you think Somalian? And Andrew's like, I don't know. And Nick Shirley's like, well, that's why your right-wingers will never trust you because you're not honest. You should think pirate because that's what I think when I think Somalian. Bitch, you saw a Tom Hanks movie and generalized about an entire group of people? I mean, maybe I'm the naive one because honestly, I didn't think anybody could be that stupid. That Nick Shirley genuinely thinks pirates when he thinks Somali because of that movie with fucking Tom Hanks and the story that was in the news over a decade ago of Somali pirates. He thinks, it's in their DNA to be pirates. So does Trump. Oh my God, I'm gonna jump off a building, homie.
Right, but we shoot them out of the water just like we shoot the drug boats out. They're not pirating too many boats lately, do you notice?
Oh, I can't do this. Now here he rambles about how Europeans call him daddy.
Europe, I'm helping NATO, and I've until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me.
It's Greenland. He keeps saying Iceland. It's Greenland, unless he also wants to steal Iceland, which maybe.
They called me daddy, right, last time. A very smart man said, he's our daddy. He's running it. I was running it. I went from running it to being a terrible human being. But now what I'm asking for is a piece of ice, cold and poorly located, that can play a vital role in world peace and world protection.
Oh, my God.
It's a very small ask.
It's a very small ask. It's a very small ask. Give me that country. Technically, it's part of Denmark. It's not its own country, but give me that giant piece of land mass.
Compared to what we have given them for many, many decades.
This is so psychotic. It's so psychotic. And I like how now, because it's convenient, he goes, it's just a poorly located block of ice. There are literally trillions of dollars of natural resources there. And Peter Thiel and the billionaire class wanted to make a freedom city out of it. So this is part of the billionaire's grand plan to get the fuck away from all of us and create the tech native America. That's the idea. And they want to put the data center there because there's natural cooling there. And they want to get all the trillions of dollars in mineral wealth out of there. The idea, this is no big deal. What are you talking? Just a block of ice. Oh my God. It's so dishonest. Now, this is the other part where he chastises and berates the people in the crowd. And he basically says hey, we defeated the Nazis, so now you have to allow us to be Nazis and steal whatever we want.
In our hemisphere. So we did it for ourselves also. And then after the war, which we won it big. Without us, right now, you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps.
By the way, go look at the death toll, World War II. You know who did the bulk of the lifting? The Soviet Union did. Part of the national myth of the U.S. is that, we did the bulk of the lifting when it came to World War II. We didn't. It was the Soviets. But here's Trump going, you owe us because we saved you. We saved you from Adolf Hitler, so now I'm allowed to be the next Adolf Hitler.
After the war, we gave Greenland back to Denmark. How stupid were we to do that? But we did it.
Oh my God, bro. So as I said, breaking: European Union freezes U.S. trade deal approval indefinitely over Trump's Greenland threats. If I'm not mistaken, this happened like even though Trump said, I'm not going to use force, because they're just done. They're done. They're like, okay, bro, enough. We're not doing this anymore. And then finally, let me end with this right here. Trump admits that what he's doing here with all these fake cases, it's just revenge.
Successful economy in the history of our country. And the first term was great, but it was corrupted by fake, but the fake news, the fake politicians, everything. Russia, the hoax of the century, all of the different things. And in a way, I was the hunted. And now I'm more of the hunter, I must tell you. And these are bad people. These are sick people. I don't know, something wrong with them. But this is more pleasurable. There's no question about it. But my first term was one of the most successful presidencies.
Just saying it out loud, man. Doing revenge, doing retribution, doing lawfare, political persecution, going after all the people who I don't like for various reasons. They failed on Jim Comey. They failed on Letitia James because they made it up. They made up the charges. They're going to fail on Jacob Frey. They're going to fail on Tim Walz. They're going to fail on all of them. But the point is intimidation. The point is to ban dissent. The point is revenge and retribution. He is a petty, vindictive, pathetic dictator. That's what he is. And he needs to hit a wall of people fighting back. That's what has to happen. He has to hit a wall of resistance where we become ungovernable. There's no way around it. And then finally, understand, I made this point the other day, Trump is literally the worst of all worlds because his default operating system is fascism and white supremacy and oppressing liberals and leftists and immigrants and LGBTQ people. His default operating system, he has like a default eugenics worldview. You know what I'm saying? So you have that. He's also hyper-capitalist, right? But then he's also immensely corrupt. With the Nazis, they were purely ideological. Like the Nazis purely were like, we're trying to create the master race and everything we do is based around that, right? Trump's default operating system is fascism, but the corruption is the added piece. It's the cherry on top that there's also this mix of greed and self-aggrandizement and narcissism and corruption. So like somehow you get all the horrors of being an ideological fascist mixed with the immense self-dealing. So it literally is the worst of all worlds, and you end up getting a situation like this. As your health insurance premiums are skyrocketing and people are losing their Medicaid and people lost their food stamps and inflation's going up and unemployment's going up and the market's tanking and 34% of the jobs, entry-level jobs, are now gone because of ChatGPT. As everything crumbles around us and people can't pay the bills, you have this. Trump has used the U.S. presidency to profit nearly $1.4 billion in a single year, according to the New York Times. $867 million from crypto ventures, $400 million from that Qatari jet gift, $90 million from media and tech settlements, $28 million for the Amazon documentary deal, and $23 million for overseas licensing. So many of these things are just wildly illegal. They violate the emoluments clause. It's foreign billionaires and foreign governments paying Trump directly, but he just does it and gets away with it. So this is where we're at, bro. Like I said, I can't even fucking handle this shit anymore. I don't even know what to say anymore because I don't know how to get through to you how uncharted these waters are, right? There's nothing I could say that could truly lay out for you just how cooked we are. We are so cooked, I previously thought it unimaginable for anybody in the history of the world to be this cooked, but here we are.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.